It's Tuesday, the 16th of March 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. In today's headlines, iron ore giant Fortescue Metals and one of the country's largest gas companies, AGL, make big bets on an environmentally friendly future. Plus, a swathe of European countries halt injecting the AstraZeneca vaccine. RBA Governor Philip Lowe calls data the oil of the 21st century. And Woolworths reveals the two most in-demand online items during the pandemic. Our lead story today, Chair and major shareholder of Fortescue Metals, Andrew Forrest, said the iron ore miner will become carbon neutral within the next decade. By contrast, BHP and Rio Tinto both have target dates of 2050. Fortescue plans to develop green electricity, green hydrogen and green ammonia projects in Australia through its Fortescue Future Industry subsidiary. The positive carbon credits from the businesses will offset the carbon cost of the mining business. Fortescue and Mr. Forrest are clearly serious. Green hydrogen, though, is a relatively untested renewable energy. So far, the experts say, it may be good for heavy industries such as mining, but not for more general usage such as transport. And only about 5% of hydrogen energy currently produced is actually green. So Fortescue has a long way to go, but you can't say Mr. Forrest isn't aspirational. Meanwhile, AGL Energy is leading a consortium that has made a successful $2.7 billion cash bid for Tilt Renewables, a group that owns wind farms in Australia and New Zealand, as well as other assets. Once the deal is done, the consortium will be the largest owner of wind and solar generation in Australia, ranking only behind the Snowy Hydro scheme in terms of renewables. The die has been cast. Coal-fired generators might currently make up 2/3 of the country's power needs, but that's changing fast. Consumers want green energy, suppliers know it's the future. It might be a rocky road to get there, but the shift to renewable energy is now irreversible and accelerating. In overseas news, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Ireland and the Netherlands have joined Scandinavian countries in halting the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine after reports of unexpected side effects. Results from AstraZeneca's 30,000-person US COVID-19 trial are currently being reviewed. The fight around access to vaccines is intensifying. Mexican President López Obrador has thanked India and Russia for contributing vaccines to his country, and China, who has promised millions of vaccines, but he pointedly said the United States had not helped out. Vaccine diplomacy is going to be rife throughout 2021. And there were some very strong growth figures out of China yesterday. Industrial output for the first 2 months of the year was up 35%, and retail sales were up 33%. Both numbers beat expectations. It demonstrated how well the Chinese economy is rebounding from the pandemic. Locally, Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe yesterday said the economic recovery had been quicker and stronger than expected, but he warned there was still a long way to go. He said the unemployment rate was too high and the pace of inflation and wages growth was below what the central bank would prefer. He highlighted that business investment was yet to click into gear and said a long and sustainable recovery needed business investment to accelerate and broaden. Dr. Lowe called data the new oil of the 21st century, and investing in data and digital capability was critical to future prosperity. They hold the key to solving many of the great challenges of our time, he said, including the pandemic, climate change, and responding to cyber threats. Tens of thousands of people joined the March for Justice protests in capital cities and towns around the country yesterday, calling for justice, safety, and equality for women. Former Liberal staffer Brittany Higgins, who was allegedly sexually assaulted in the office of Defence Minister Linda Reynolds, spoke in Canberra, urging women to share your truth to ensure a safer and more equitable Australia. The Queensland Government has given the go-ahead for the proposed merger of QSuper and SunSuper in a deal that would create a $200 billion superannuation fund manager. It would be the second largest in the country, behind Aussie Super. The two most searched items online at Woolworths during the pandemic were hand sanitizer and sourdough. Sums it up, really. Woolworths Chair Gordon Cairns said baby boomers were big adopters of online shopping during the pandemic, and the supermarket giant expects demand to remain strong. Interestingly, and perhaps not surprisingly, shoppers still prefer to buy some goods, such as fruit and vegetables, in-store. The investment banking community in Australia is all important in financial markets because many investors follow their recommendations. Macquarie Group has upgraded its forecast price for Qantas, saying the airline will be back to near pre-pandemic levels for domestic travel next financial year and at 80% for international travel the year after. Qantas' share price hit a low of $2.14 almost exactly a year ago. It's up more than 150% since then, and yesterday closed almost 4% higher at $5.50. Macquarie expects the airline's share price to hit $6.35. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you subscribe or follow so you get it every morning. If you'd like more detail and more stories, search for our full Fear and Greed podcast. Today it includes an interview with Paddy Gregg, the CEO of Australian shipbuilder Austal. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.